And Brian texts like, hey, what is this like working? Like, I don't know.
Oh, I just didn't. All right. You want to go ahead and distribute those?
Is this yours?
That is. All right. Welcome back, guys. Welcome back.
Yes.
Good to be here. So we have some research that was that we did as we were having these discussions. It was really very interesting because one of the things about doing the research was that we very immediately were able to recognize that all of this wonderful modern research fully was told to the Israelites many, many years ago.
Come on.
So I very much believe that there's nothing new in this. Did you get one, Nathan?
David got one for him.
Perfect. I fully believe there's nothing new in this research or anything like that. However,
you're jumping straight to the research.
I am. Well, you were adopted.
Okay.
So this is our family. We're totally ready for this. And our class is called Training, Not Telling. Yeah?
Yeah. So we have, I mean, everybody knows us, but for anyone who's listening online that may not know us, we have a 12-year-old boy named JT and a 9-year-old girl named Esther. And we have been married for 20 years. And we both are scientists. So our parenting, our class, everything that we do in life pretty much revolves around science. We have lots of nerdy talks at the dinner table, but one of our most favorite things to do with science is to relate it back to God and how science and God do not have to be in conflict. A lot of hi train and explaining to our kids, like, this works in this function, but because God made it that way. And so, anyway, that's just a little about us.
Yeah, and you might tell from our lesson that we think about things a little bit more scientifically sometimes.
Right. And our handouts and our presentation that we're also teachers.
Yes. So hopefully this helps. We organized this lesson in 3 parts: physiology, methodology, and then response. So yeah, but the point of this class is all about telling, not necessarily training.
Training, not telling. Yeah.
The opposite of that. Training, not necessarily telling.
He's also dyslexic, so.
Yeah. It's true. So training being that you're walking with them until they can do it independently. Telling being quite simply giving them information. Information's important.
And our class is specifically geared like on our examples and stuff for school-age children, but it really kind of goes along with any stage.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. All right. So here's a short video.
For decades, scientists believed the adult brain was fixed. What you had was what you got. We now know that that's completely wrong. Your brain is constantly rewiring itself. It's called neuroplasticity. Every time you learn something new, practice a new skill, or change a habit, your brain typically changes. Neurons form new connections. Pathways strengthen or weaken based on use. This means you're not stuck with the brain you have today. Anxiety patterns can be unwired. New coping skills can become automatic. Recovery from trauma is possible, but neuroplasticity is neutral. It reinforces whatever you practice, helpful or harmful. Ruminate daily, and that pathway deepens. Practice gratitude and balance strengthens instead. The question isn't whether your brain can change, it's what you're training it to become. You have more control than you did.
All right. That lady did not know she was summarizing our class when she made that video. So, real quick introduction to this research that I'm giving you. I'm not going to spend a ton of time on this document. So the big idea, you can see research on habit formation and brain development on the front. It's organized into some very important age distributions. So the first page, front and back, talks specifically about what our target was between the ages of 3 and 12. So there's a very dramatic break that happens around 7 years old. And before 7, the brain is very external. It is very much your response is occurring because the parent says it. The parent or whatever person is telling them. So there's a lot of external thinking going on, but they're intaking all of that information. They're gathering that information and they're turning that into their original pathways in the brain. Then somewhere around 8 years old, you can see on the back page, research is showing that they are developing some planning ability and some self-control, and it gets a little bit more ability to think for themselves, but it's still very inconsistent. One of the things that I would like to key in on in there is that the patterns that we generate for them don't always cross into different scenarios. So like when I was thinking about this, I was thinking about like, so when my daughter left paint on the table, and we were like, you can't leave paint on the table. And she was like, okay. So then we cleaned the paint off the table, and then she leaves modeling clay on the table. She might not actually recognize that's the same thing.
Right.
Because there's two different scenarios. And so when I started to think about scenarios, particularly around how I train my children, I started to recognize this pattern happens a lot, that I assumed that, because I told them to pick up their socks, that they would also pick up their shorts.
Right.
But those are two different things. And because I told them to pick up their socks that were in the hallway, I thought maybe they'd pick up their socks in the bathroom. But those are two different places. And so recognizing these scenarios, and so under the age of 7, like there's almost zero crossing that is not trained.
Right.
And then at the age between age 8 and 12, there's some crossing of scenarios. But I was like, really thinking that these scenarios superseded the location, superseded the object, superseded all of these things. So I found that super interesting in the training, and very important in the recognizing where we're going next when we're looking at the biblical pathways along with that. The second page is the habit formation loop. We'll talk a little bit more about that later. If you go to the back page, there's a nice summary of all this stuff for us, and a nice little chart. So specifically, when we're talking about physiology, we're going to be talking about, and you can feel free to mark up your own papers. We're talking about brain development, the research around that, control of behavior, ability to be consistent, understanding why, habit formation, and the role of a parent. So brain development being executive functioning, which is very low in the age of 3 to 7. There's not a lot of super awesome, thinking patterns that are not taught specifically. Then that can start to develop more between 8 to 12. But it's still a lot more inconsistent according to modern research than what we probably would have thought from our little adult that's now almost as tall as Ty. Maybe his brain is not a full adult at this point.
It is not.
No, it is not. Control of behavior at 8, 7, and younger, it is almost exclusively adult-driven. So I did not punch my sister in the face because Dad would be mad. Like that's their external control. So like there's a lot of things. If you did not specifically tell them not to do this thing, If you did not specifically teach them not to do this, you can't say you should know better by now, because they literally don't know better. So, and at the age of 8, they can start to share a little bit of that control, but it's still a lot less than what you might think. Understanding why at the age of 7 and under very much is very minimal, and it very much is minimized in their behavioral response. So understanding the thought patterns, and I was very big on making sure our kids understood why I was telling them all these things, and now recognizing that probably was somewhat a waste of time. But it does start to develop more at 8 years old, and hopefully more again at the age of 13. Habit formations, you can see there, environment and repetition are incredibly important. Swapping to a different environment is not necessarily going to also carry the exact same habit. If your kid goes to bed at 9 o'clock every night at your house, and they go to stay at another friend's house, they might not think I need to go to bed at 9 o'clock. They might not think I need to brush my teeth before I go to bed, because they didn't brush their teeth before bed at that house yet. So, these are specific things to think about and recognize. As they get a little bit older, those things should start to come. But again, it's a lot slower than you might think. The role of a parent then is to act as their brain, and then at somewhere around 8 years old, we would switch to being the coach. And then, unfortunately, Barry and Beth were not able to be here. Barry, we talked on the phone. How did he say it? He said you start as the teacher, then the coach, then the director, like the athletic director. Right. Then first you're the teacher, then the coach, then the athletic director.
Yeah, I think
there was one more in there. I need Barry's brain. But he was telling me that his kids are grown and out, and now he's just the athletic director, being like, yeah, you guys should do some things. Right. But that's the idea, is moving from telling them exactly how to do everything to working with them. Yeah. To help them do everything, and then eventually release. And that's where the habit formation comes into play. So this is physiology.
So this scripture, I know that everybody knows it, but I think that it is just so interesting and so wonderful that God already knows all of this. God already knows our physiology. He already knows our developmental processes. And his word is perfect, and it's just amazing. So it says, these words which I'm commanding you today shall be written on your heart and mind. You shall teach them diligently to your children. And what is this translation? Impressing God's precepts on their minds and penetrating their hearts with his truth, and shall speak of them when you sit in your house, and when you walk on the road, and when you lie down, and when you get up. So training your children is this scripture. It's moment by moment, and it's constant, especially in this developmental age range. You can't just tell them to do something and expect them to do it if you have not shown them step by step how to do this function. And you can't expect them to remember to do it in that order every time they do it if you haven't done it multiple times. Right. They haven't built that neuroplasticity that she was talking about yet. They haven't traveled those paths in their minds over and over yet. But God already told us how to do it before science figured it out. Right. He knew that walking and talking and lying down and getting up and doing it all together would guide them in the way that they need to go before we, as humans, can figure it out or put our finger on what it is. Mm-hmm. There's something else?
Did you want to talk about any of these specific scenarios, how we do it in our house? Okay. All right, so let's put this into practice.
The one we didn't talk about was being consistent. So that's
yes,
what this is talking about. The consistency for younger kids, they cannot do it on their own.
Right.
Until like the age of 8. They just need you to hold their hand and do it with them every single time. And even as they get to that 8 to 12 age range, I think they get to a certain point where we've told them 4 or 5 or 6 times, we're like, you should know how to do it now. But it's not true. Like their brain, it has to do it multiple times. And so expecting them to suddenly be able to do it on their own without you still checking in and seeing if they've done it, whatever it is, cleaning their room, brushing their teeth, how they talk to their sibling, like whatever it is, it's constant. And even when they get to the little bit older phase, they're still not able to sustain on their own. And I think this is something that we don't do a great job of in our house, just because life is busy. I'm like, yes, I've showed you how to do that. Let's move on. And just having that patience and taking that time to build those pathways in their mind, it just takes time. So.
Yeah. All right, so I want to do a little practice now. So I need everybody to pair up. Find a partner. Find a partner.
Bring your partner around.
I think we got an odd number. You want to join somebody?
I'm talking. Yeah, sure. I can join somebody.
Yeah. All right. So here's what you're going to do with your partner. First, we are going to choose one of you is going to represent the parent. One is going to represent the child. Okay. Decide now. Ready, go. Okay. All right. So the parent is going to tell the child, without any hand gestures, emotions of any kind, how to brush their teeth. The child is going to pretend that they don't know how to brush their teeth and only follow the verbal directions. You have one.
You've never brushed your teeth in your life. You've never been heard of brushing your teeth.
Right. So, ready, go.
Put it in your mouth, and you switch it around, go back and forth. Put some on the back. I can't. Brush.
All right, your other child is crying. You're running out of time. All right, 5, 4, 3, 2. Okay, stop. All right. So, hopefully you recognize that was way more difficult than it should have been. So now we're going to repeat that exact same process, same parent, same child. This time, the parent uses hand gestures and modeling. Ready, go. Man, that looks so much easier. All right, ready, stop. It seemed like everyone was having success just that quickly. All right, one more time. You're going to repeat this process, but this time have the parent have the child repeat back and show you what they thought you said. Ready, go.
No, when you're about to brush the back of the bottom,
more seconds. All right. You guys are awesome. All right. Yeah, go for it.
Okay, so what made the second version more effective than the first version?
Modeling.
Hand gestures, modeling.
Yeah, being able to see like, if you don't know what something is and you just need to do it, you have to have a picture of that in your mind. Like what
Right.
What does that mean, brush? Right. Am I gonna get a hairbrush?
Right. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Melba I was like, and grab your toothpaste, and she was like, the little tube by your toothbrush. No one used toothpaste.
That's awesome.
Okay, so this one you can jot down to think about. You don't have to answer this one unless you really want to, but where are you expecting results without your presence helping your children right now? Like, where's areas that you are expecting your children to perform a function or a task that you have not stepped step by step with them?
I was thinking about the just be kind to your sibling. Like, as you guys were doing that, I was like, man, how do you describe
Right.
how to be kind to your sibling?
I think that's when you have to model.
You have to model it. Like, how many words do you need? How much wasted time to get them to understand what it actually means?
Yeah. So we actually did this experiment in my house. I thought you had like a...
Oh, no, it's just right here.
Oh, do you want me to say it?
Sure.
Okay. So there was a study done with this same scenario of parents and children. It was like, and they polled kids and parents, and they found that only 7.5% of children actually brush their teeth as is recommended by the dentist. Wow. They don't brush their teeth correctly. But what percentage of parents do you think at least one time demonstrated how to brush your teeth to their kids? Probably everybody, right? Everyone teaches their kids how to brush their teeth. But that's a very low percentage of correct brushing. So I actually went home and re-instructed my kids on how to brush their teeth. They are 9 and 12. They have been brushing their teeth for quite a long time, but I was fascinated by this, and I was like, I want to see how they brush their teeth. And I was shocked that they did not do a fantastic job, even though I told them over every night they brush their teeth. You have to do it for 3 minutes. Make sure you get top, bottom, side, front, back, and use toothpaste. So I was shocked that they didn't actually do all the things that I had told them every night to do. So I went and I grabbed my toothbrush, and this was individually. I did it one night with Esther and one night with JT. And I was like, show me how you brush your teeth. And then I went and got my toothbrush, and I was like, here's what we do. And showed them with my toothbrush how we brush our teeth. Mm-hmm. It took 5 minutes. But what are other areas that we could do that? Like, it's a simple 5-minute, we can retrain. Right. Mm-hmm. The other thing is you have to go back and check again. Right. It's just retraining one time also doesn't do it. So I'll keep you posted on our next brushing teeth. And a scripture, Isaiah 30, verse 21, whether you turn to the right or the left, your ears will hear a voice behind you saying, this is the way, walk in it. And then the next one too. Exodus 13:21. By day the Lord went ahead of them. So God already does this for us. Mm-hmm. He has already walked a sinless life. Yeah. He shows us how day by day to act. So if God does it for us, we should very definitely do it for our children.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, when I was looking for scriptures on, God modeling walking, I was like, this, the Bible? I was like, literally the whole thing. So it's incredible to see how God has modeled all of this for us in so many different ways. And from every single scope of power distributions and difficulties and things like this. So the Bible's going to be important. All right, so we're going to switch to part 2, which is methodology. All right, and methodology is going to be, if you look on the back sheet, best teaching methods, effectiveness of verbal instruction, the need for repetition, feedback timing, environmental importance. Oh, I forgot one for number 1, which was emotional regulation. I put that one out of order. So best teaching methods. So with anybody under the age of 7, the best teaching method is to do it with them, to repeat that process over and over and over again. And then when you look at 8 years old, the best teaching method is to do it with them and repeat that process over and over and over again. But the difference being that this time the talking matters a lot. So this time, verbalizing why we're doing this over and over and over again. So both of our kids are in that age range where brushing their teeth, like, they should start to understand that not brushing your teeth causes cavities, right? So, but there's so many other things, so many aspects of life where not being kind to your sister causes, distress, causes your sister to be upset, causes you to be treated differently. Like all of the things that all of the consequences of life, now we've been modeling them now at the age of 8 plus, we're modeling and discussing, and we're walking with, and we're doing it again, and we're doing it again in different situations, in different scenarios. Now we're at the church building. Now we be kind to our sister also here. So, like, that seems like a thing that I shouldn't have to say, but I mean, let's be real, that their behavior does not transition from one location and one situation to the next, because they don't see it as the same thing. So then there's the need for repetition. You'll see that the need for repetition is extremely high and very high. So repeat the process. One time through does not create a pattern in your home, and it will not change their life habits. The feedback timing. I didn't.
And this is not verbal repetition, this is the repeating processes, because if you look at the one right above it, effectiveness of verbal instruction is very low for a 3 to 7 year old. They do not process verbal command. Like, it just does not. It goes in one ear and out the other. I think we've all seen that. Like, we tell the 3-year-old, go pick up your toy.
Yeah.
I don't even see a toy. Like, what are you even saying?
Yeah, that's super important. Thank you. I almost skipped that. And I also was thinking about that one, and a lot of times we train children the process of looking like you understand, as opposed to actually understanding. I need you to look in my eyes. I need you to, nod your head.
Do you understand?
Do you understand? You have to nod your head yes, otherwise something bad is happening next. So, like, what process are you teaching with that? So that's very important. Thank you. I almost skipped that one. The next thing on there was feedback timing. And this is one thing that I have a hard time with this one, because I oftentimes don't want to give immediate feedback because I don't want to respond in anger or frustration, or I don't want to give immediate feedback because I don't want them to be embarrassed because they're next to their friends. But you can see the research is showing that feedback that is immediate is incredibly important, because, and if you're thinking about it in the situational, like, processing, they're now in a new situation and you're asking them to pretend like they're back in the old situation as you're discussing the feedback. And so now you're hitting neither situation. You're just saying, generally speaking, I'm disappointed in you. And, like, how do they actually turn that discussion into a change of habits or behaviors? They can, but it's hard. And so we want to provide as much successful feedback as possible, which would be immediate, clear modeling feedback.
And I think that goes for positive feedback too.
Yes.
Don't wait to praise them for doing well, like especially in the younger 3 to 7, like that was a really good job. That's exactly how we want to do that. And that reinforces actually more quickly than correcting negatives.
Yeah.
So enforcing positives builds neuroplasticity like exponentially times faster than negative corrective feedback.
Thank you. Common mistakes is expecting independence too early and assuming that consistency occurs without structure. And so, like, if you're thinking about that teeth brushing example, we assumed that consistency had occurred because I disappeared upstairs and then said I brushed my teeth. And how do we know? So environmental importance is critical for 7 and younger. So recognizing that their environment has changed when you've changed location, recognizing their environment has changed when you've changed the person that they're talking to, recognizing their environment has changed when they've changed their state of mind from exhausted to fully fed and content. Like, these are all different things. Now, I think you should also start to recognize that this happens to ourselves as well. And we would be lying to ourselves to think that we don't have to train ourselves how to be, not do these things at work. This is work dialogue. This is home dialogue. This is, I'm on the phone and someone just cut me off dialogue. So all of these different situations, our brain also does not immediately translate. So it's not like we should expect our 8-year-old to immediately translate situations, in something that we as adults still struggle to do.
Yeah.
So it is vitally important. Okay, yeah, thank you. All right, so 2 Timothy 3:16. This is God's methodology. All scripture is God-breathed and useful for teaching, rebuking, correcting, and training in righteousness. I think this is a super important scripture for parenting. Teaching in righteousness. Teaching in righteousness is, the explanation. This is where you are talking with your kids. You are having the conversations. This is right. This is right. This is right because. And those conversations should develop as their age develops. So that we're not having the same conversations with them when they're 5 as when they're 10 as when they're 15. So that teaching will change as you go. Deuteronomy 11:19 talks about teaching them when you sit and when you walk. You guys are probably familiar with that one. Proverbs 2:1 talks about accepting my words and turning your ear to wisdom. All of Proverbs provides lots of great conversation points for teaching, and how those teaching points might be different in different situations. And so I think it's vitally important that we recognize our conversations need to be seasoned with salt. We need to very much be in discussions with our kids, in explanations with our kids, not leaving them in the dark for why we're doing things or what the expectations are for doing things.
Some things to think about. When do your kids actually listen best? When are they going to hear what you're teaching them? On the fly sometimes, doesn't really go that great, but think about it. And when will these lessons really hit? And then what are you over explaining but under practicing? Like, what are you telling them over and over and over, but we haven't actually done? Or you're explaining and you don't actually practice for yourself. I can say, JT, you shouldn't play electronics so much. and then I come home and sit on the couch and play games on my phone. So I need to practice what I'm preaching. And, you know, what is that for you? What is it that are these sticking points for you?
Thank you.
It can be hard to think about sometimes, but.
It can be. It can be. Taking sober judgment is vitally important. All right, so correcting in righteousness, rebuking in righteousness. I think it's really important that when we are rebuking the system, not necessarily the child, which means that you are staying connected to your child as you're rebuking them. So I told you to clean your room, I told you to clean your room, I told you to clean your room, and they didn't clean the room. Something needs to change for that child. Maybe something needs to change with our system as well. Like, I don't just need to repeat myself again. Like there's more to what's happening, or if we are taking sober judgment and we are on our phones when we're saying you need to get off electronics, connecting to that, like the system, the modeling, whatever it is, needs to be adjusted. So Proverbs 3:11 talks about how the Lord disciplines those He loves. And discipline is never pleasant at the time. And I think true discipline is not pleasant for the recipient or the giver. Like if you disciplining your child, it causes you to have to be inconvenienced, that's probably a good discipline. And it's probably worth it. And, you can experience that rebuking yourself in the process, like thinking about how do I set this situation up differently next time, instead of just being inconvenienced and angry at your child. Ephesians 4:15 talks about speaking the truth in love. And I think that connects the rebuking to the teaching. So this is what we're doing different. This is why we're doing it. And I still love you, yes.
I think we already kind of talked about this.
Yeah.
Like, what have you never actually shown step by step? Think about it, through the process. And then are there behaviors that you need to repent with your child? Like, I'm telling you not to do this. I also need to not do this. And have that conversation, connect with them. Like, you know what? I'm not actually doing the best job at this. Let's try and work on this together. It's about, building connection and training.
Yeah. All right, teaching, rebuking, correcting. Correcting in righteousness, I think, is vitally important because sometimes we're on the right path, but you can see, there's a cliff over there, and we're kind of veering that way, right? So we want to nudge them. We want to help them. We want to keep them on the path, and as they veer, we're going to help them. So this is when we start putting things into practice. This is how we walk on this path. This is how we stay on the path. Or John 13:15, talking about setting the example. You can walk behind me as we walk down this path. You can follow my footsteps as we walk down this path. I think the correcting mentality is very important because you don't always necessarily need to do a full 180 rebuking. If you didn't clean your room correctly, maybe there's a adjustment. Maybe we just need to adjust our mentality or whatever it is that cause us to veer a little bit.
So this first question says, how do you value the path that has brought your child to this point? I think that question is asking, what's the good things? What are the things that are working? What are the things that your family is doing that keep you on the path that you want your child to go in? And then the second question is, again, it's back on you. How are you modeling accepting correction? So I'm not the best at this, especially from my spouse. And my children see that. So if I am not good at taking correction, they're not going to be good at taking correction. Yeah.
Well, I'm going to model giving Ty credit for being on the path. You're better at accepting correction, you think. But I mean, and I also was thinking more specifically about accepting correction from God. Like, you know, like, are we fighting God, keeping us on the right path? And I think that's a huge part. And then, of course, the whole point of this session is training, not telling. So training in righteousness, training produces a harvest of righteousness. This is that we've been talking about the whole time. We're walking with, we are modeling, we are discussing, we're doing all of the things, and I think all of those things combined is what we would know as training. And in the process, we are training ourselves. Now, there's this really interesting thing, but we'll get to that in a second. Sorry, I was going to jump ahead.
Sorry, I totally just lost my train of thought. I had a thought.
Okay.
Oh, no, it's fine. So we're talking like practical things, right? We're talking brushing your teeth, cleaning your room, but all of these really have application to training for godliness. The ultimate goal, like Darius and Aaron said, is to train them to love God.
Mm-hmm.
And we're using like practical, tangible things because you can kind of visualize that, you know? But it's like he was talking about with kindness and gentleness and self-control. Like those are a little bit more ethereal, I guess, and harder to like pinpoint how to do it. But you can take all of those applications and apply it. Consistency. Explaining why you're doing things, repetition, like all of these things are useful in training them to love God.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So training is walking with your child until they can do it alone. Different ages will definitely require different amounts of each of those things, including adults, in case you're wondering how that applies to you. All right, so now, just a second. All right, so now our response. So physiology, methodology, then the response. So now what do we do with this information? So you should have some ideas already, but we wanted to break it down just a little bit more. All right, and if you go back to the second page, the middle page in your packet, this is all about the habit loop. All right, the habit loop is essentially how scientists have recognized that we create habits. So first off, you need repetition. Secondly, you need some sort of reward that will cause you to do the same thing again. So this is the loop, is that you have some sort of cue that causes you to do the habit. Then you have the routine, which is the behavior that you repeat when you have that cue. And then of course there's the reward. So like, what will keep you doing that cue again? There's a lot more information on here. I'll point out very briefly. If you look at age 7 and younger, the implication is that children rely almost entirely on external structures. If you look at age 8 and 12 down at the bottom, the implication is that training shifts from control to coaching. Not exclusively coaching, but it does start to shift there. In teenagers, the habits must connect to their identity, because as a teenager, they start to leave your coaching and test your coaching against the world. And they start to formulate their identity by their habits and by what type of person that they are. I'm a hard worker. My habit is to work hard. I'm a spiritual person because my habit is to be spiritual. So they start to formulate those identities, and their habits will strengthen those identities about themselves. It is incredibly discomforting for teenagers to recognize a lot of times when their habits and their identity are discordant. That's when you have a lot of anxiety, you have a lot of frustration, a lot of teenagers being like, who am I even? So the more we can help them create their identities around biblical principles and their habits also around those biblical principles, the more confident and connected to themselves they will be. I am a child of God because I'm a child of God, like, because, that's those two things sit solidly as my core, and that's the goal. And then, of course, if you're curious, on the next page, the implication for habit building is awareness. Yes, for an adult, awareness and intentional repetition are required for us to change as well. It has to be intentional. All right, so, we wanted to do an example about a habit loop. Was that not here? Oh, that was next. All right, let's look at this first. All right, so Hebrews 5:14 says, "But solid food is for the mature, who by constant use have trained themselves to distinguish good from evil." And then, of course, we can remember all sorts of scriptures, but let's not become weary of doing good. Let's let the repetition of doing good and creating those habits in our life be in sequence with our identity that we formulated about ourselves, and that, then going into helping our kids, because that's how we're modeling it. We're modeling it as doing good ourselves. Let's think about a repeated. So what is repeated together becomes permanent. So what habit loop we repeat as a family will then become a permanent part of their structure, right? So if your habit loop is to get in the car screaming, then that will become how they expect to get in their car for the rest of their life. So it's a bit extreme, I'm sorry. All right, but I also want to point out here that we are always training by our response. We are always there. Every time there's a cue, then our response will create the habit formation in some way, shape, or form. But that can be really scary if you think about all of the parts and the pieces. Like, what are my response cues actually, a response to these cues actually training my kids to do? So we wanted to model that a little bit with a little skit to set the scene. I'm JJ, and I'm roughly 12 years old, and I have cleaned my room. I've been told to go clean my room, and then Ty comes in as the mother and says, "I thought I told you to clean your room." And my response is, "I did." Has anybody experienced that one?
Yeah.
All right. So what are some things that might happen as the parent? That's the cue. The cue is, these two things don't fit. So our response to that cue will help to create the pattern of the habit of what we do next. So first option is just simply repeating yourself. So.
JJ, clean your room.
I did.
Go clean your room. It is not clean. Go clean your room.
All right. Well, I guess I don't know why she keeps telling me to do that. I'll just go to my room. So what emotionally am I thinking from her just repeating herself after I've just cleaned my room? Parents are annoying. They don't understand me at all. It's not like they've ever been 12. Yeah. So I don't understand what she means. Yeah. I'm confused. I don't understand. I'm whatever. So are there many good habits that response will cue? No, I don't think so. So simple repetition of go and clean your room probably does not help. All right, so I've cleaned my room. Ty comes and checks.
You cleaned your room?
I did. Cleaning my room is super easy. All right, so what emotional response am I cueing for myself, or is she cueing for me? Like, what?
I'll do it for you.
Yeah. Mom will take care of it. Yeah. Secret fairies, like, yeah. My house is always clean. I don't know why your house is such a dirty mess. My room is always clean. All right. Yeah. Yeah, she's gonna do it anyways. Why would I put any effort into cleaning my room? Let's say it again. Oh, that's fair.
What's going on here is that your interpretation of what clean is does not coincide with her interpretation of what clean is.
Absolutely, you keyed in on that important. And but the response to that, this disconnect, is very important. All right, so the next one we had is apathy.
JT, did you clean your room?
I did.
Well, you can live in that mess.
Well, I didn't want to clean it in the first place, so this works for me.
These are not responses that he's doing out loud. These are like internal thoughts he's having. Yeah,
Yeah, that would be a very different conversation. So what habit am I building for the rest of my life with that response from my parent? It doesn't matter.
No follow through.
Yeah, like,
No expectation.
yeah. Do mom's words matter at all?
Does she care?
Does she care? All right. Next one is anger.
JT, did you clean your room? JJ.
Words are too similar. Yes, I did.
You call this clean? This is a pigsty. How can you live like this? This is unacceptable. Go do it again.
Man. All right. So mom's directions are painful. Also, I'm the worst. I can't do it right. That's a hard one.
Yeah.
All right, so no.
I must yell at him too much.
I don't like getting yelled at. All right, so anyways, so unrelenting standards is the next one. Oh yeah.
What life?
Yeah. So what life patterns am I going to build with that one? What life patterns am I going to build with mom's response like that? Defeated, low self-esteem.
Fear.
Yeah, fear.
Failure.
Yeah,
Anxiety.
anxiety, insecurity. These are hard ones. It's hard to think about what our response to the cues are actually training our kids.
Yeah.
And then the last one being unrelenting standards.
This one is like actually me, so. Okay. JJ, did you clean your room?
I did.
Then what, that pile of clothes and 17 cups on your nightstand, and also your bed is a mess and you have stuffies everywhere, and you also, actually, now that I think about it, you also didn't do your homework or brush your teeth properly, so what are you even doing?
Oh man. So yeah, what I wrote down was, I guess my efforts don't matter.
Right.
It's never good enough for mom anyways. She didn't say to straighten my books. She just told me to clean my room. She didn't say to put the cups off the counter. She just said clean my room. So what life patterns, what habits am I creating based off that response?
Nothing's good enough.
Yeah, nothing's good enough.
Didn't appreciate what was done.
Yeah, I feel that. Didn't appreciate what was already accomplished. I worked hard. There was 7 whole minutes of my life cleaning this room.
Possibly even, looking for approval outside of the house.
That's true.
Ooh, I think
That's true. Yeah, something Daria said, I'll share this because that keyed on it so well. As there's a story I heard about a guy who went into a church, and while he was in the church, like his phone went off and everybody stared at him, and he was like, and he couldn't turn it off, and like people, looked at him real weird, and then afterwards, like a few people came up and like, hey, you can probably turn your phone off during service. He's like, okay, and he just felt real judged, and then he went to the bar afterwards.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
what response who are you gonna look for?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You drop a plate at the bar. Yeah, they'll come clean it up. They got you. Don't be mean. Yeah. So what are we training our kids to do by our response cues? So it's real important to recognize that our responses to their cues are very important. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, they are building habits for us just as much as we're building habits for them. So if we set the standard for the response and the cue from the start, it will just be that much better on the other end too. Because if we respond with anger and then we get anger in return, then we re-respond with anger. It's a cycle. So so just as much as our response is training them, their response is also training us. So but we're the adult. We have the frontal lobe development to make choices and make decisions. As we've seen, they do not up to age 12, and really for boys it's like 21, I think, before their frontal lobe is completely developed.
30, 35,
35, 43. No, I'm just kidding. It's gone.
Oh, that's okay. So
we're the adults. Like,
yeah.
We can.
I will point out that sometimes it can really help to point out that our kids are also training us. I was telling Nathan about this, is that even at birth, your child will start to train you. And so one of the most effective conversations I ever had with JT was he was coming to me whining about things, and I hate whining. I can't. And so finally I had this conversation with him where I was like, bud, when you come to me and you are whining, my immediate emotional response is, I never want him to ever get anything he's talking about. Ever. Never. Stop it now. Everything is over. You're never getting it. I just hate the sound of whining and like the emotional response. And he saw that in me as I was trying to control my frustration in my voice, but it was not controlled because I was like, I really hate it. And then I was like, I want to help you, but like you put me in this emotional place that I have to pull myself out of to help you. So if you come to me not whining and you don't put me in that emotional response to start off with, like I've always want to help you, but you can help me be in this, not be in that place. And he'd stop complaining and whining when he came up in conversations, like started having conversations that didn't start with, that's true. And I was like, it was the most effective conversation we've ever had, and I appreciate his response to my need as well.
Yeah, and I like how he put the emphasis on the behavior and not the kid. Right. So I don't like this behavior. Right. Yeah. Not I don't like you. I don't like when you do this. Right. I don't like this behavior. Mm-hmm. That's super important for kids' self-esteem, for the emphasis to be on behaviors and not the person. Right. You can totally crush a kid by telling them that you think that they are whatever. It's the behavior that is whatever,
Yeah.
not the child.
Yeah. So, JD may have thought I was joking when I said I could go an extra hour and a half. But we really could. There's so much that we could dive into the details around this for a long time.
I think that's good.
Yeah. So recognize that our response trains our kids. Ecclesiastes 4 says, 2 are better than 1 because they are good in return. They have a good return for their labor. So we should be working with our kids to create good habit loops. Luke 24, as I talked and discussed these things with each other, Jesus himself came along and walked with them. We should be walking together. I think we'll skip ahead a little bit. Either you're going to walk with them now or connect with them later, or correct them later. But what is the major barrier to doing all these things? Time. It is so hard to take a 1-minute task of you need to clean your room and turn it into a 35-minute task of I'm helping you clean your room. But I'm not doing it for you. We're discussing it. We're walking together. We're modeling, your underwear doesn't go under the bed. So here's what happens when we do that, but ultimately, and I'll just summarize this point, ultimately, if you invest the time up front, it takes less time later. So I am super rude to future JJ. Future JJ has all sorts of extra time. So the future me is time rich. I have money to spare. That future me, and I'm happy to go and spend 2 weeks volunteering for this thing because I want to do it, and I don't have time in the future. But the reality is that the now me cannot punish the future me by putting off these things, because they only accumulate. Those habits is significantly harder to change a habit than it is to create a habit. So as our kids are growing and we are creating habits, those habits should be intentionally formed as we walk together. So we have a lot more, but we'll skim through it.
We already talked about that one.
Yeah, that's true. You want to get this one?
Colossians 3:21. Do not embitter your children or they will become discouraged. So when you don't do the upfront work, it can lead to rush, and then your kids are frustrated and you're frustrated. And that's kind of what he was just talking about. So again, the Bible already taught us all of these things. Science is just catching up to what God has already showed us in his scripture.
Amen. So where do we feel the most rushed?
So pick a moment this week that you could slow down, that you can take that extra time to train something that maybe has been sliding a little bit. So it could be something that you're doing for your kid that they could be doing themselves, but you just need to take that moment to train that behavior and then follow up and then follow up and then follow up. The follow-up doesn't have to be the same as the training, unless they're like 3. It probably needs to be the same, but
Yeah. So consistency of presence creates consistency of behavior. We'll finish with these last few things. I remember one time Scott Kirkpatrick was a great man that was leading the Columbia Church of Christ, and he was super obsessed with this parenting book. He was like, this parenting book is the book. This is how you parent. And I was like, I'm going to read this book. and the entire book was about show up. I literally could have been 2 words, show up. I was like, that's it? He was like, it's an amazing book, isn't it? I was like, I guess. I was looking for, something complicated. But just show up. Just be there. Be there for the things. Be there with them for the things. So walk, show, do, repeat. And then eventually release. No, don't release ever. All right. So we'll finish with a recap. All Scripture is God breathed and is useful for teaching, rebuking, correcting, and training in righteousness. And where are we relying on our words rather than relying on God's presence through our presence? Amen. Thank you.
What are we doing? We are going to lunch, what does the schedule say as far as? 12:45, so 12:45. So 45 minutes. All right. And we'll be back. Awesome.